On newspaper 7:40 this morning with Stuart Miles and Helen Lederer. Now, gaming has perhaps long been seen as a preserve of men, young men at that, but while home-based consoles still attract predominantly male users, where mobile gaming is concerned, women are increasingly leading the way. And that, in turn, is fueling a growing addiction problem. Tig Enright reports.
As life passes by, more and more of us gaze at a screen. And it's mobile games which are gripping many.
I think there's a big kid in everyone, so I don't mind it. So I also do stuff like the word games on there as well, and Sudoku, Candy Crush. Everyone does Candy Crush.
There has been an occasion where I've played a game and I've missed my stop.
I think it's like a guilty pleasure. I think like everyone kind of plays it secretly.
Yeah.
It used to be that gaming was something you do at home, at a computer.
Now they can follow you wherever you go, and they're getting better at reeling us in. But when it comes to games like this, on your mobile, unlike any other category, there are more women playing than men.
Once it was Angry Birds, but now Candy Crush is the world's most played smartphone game. And while men outstrip women in so-called hardcore and regular gamer categories, among casual gamers, such as those who use mobiles, 27% of women say they play versus 24% of men. Journalist by day, gamer by night. The New Statesman's Helen Lewis has been playing since childhood, and she's glad to see more women getting involved.
Those big fighting shooting games are blokey, and those are the ones that dominate the big blockbuster market. That's not the same when it comes to smartphone games, which are a lot more kind of about puzzle-based stuff, and therefore a lot more accessible to everyone. And what we discovered with that is there were lots of women who wanted to play games who just couldn't before. And actually, had we given them the chance all along, who knows how many of them might have played it for decades.
Harmless habit? Not always. Addiction specialists know that games can consume players, and it doesn't help to have them easily at hand.
I would suspect a social dimension to gaming is much more appealing to women, and the fact that friends will also be playing it and your comparing scores might drive that.
Smartphone games are adding to an industry already making almost £2 billion in Britain every year, and adding to some people's lives. Still though, it's good to look up and around sometimes. Tig Enright, Sky News.
Well, let's talk to games journalist Julia Hardy, who's here. Morning, Julia. Why are these appealing to women, particularly these mobile games?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily just women. I think there's sort of a much bigger kind of arc of kind of more casual gamers. So whereas before, you know, like buying a games console can be quite an expensive thing. You might want like a handheld device and kind of go into gaming that way. But everybody has a phone, everybody has a tablet. Everyone has really boring journeys, let's be honest, and wants to fill it up with something a bit more interesting.
Is that the key to this and why it seems to be really taking off now? Is it simply commute time? Because obviously a lot of people, particularly in the capital, do have the big commutes.
I definitely think so, and it's also, you know, it's just really easy. It's there. It's a very low price point. A lot of these games are, you know, sometimes like 69 pence, which is a lot better than kind of sitting there, you know, reading the Metro again. What's the point? There's a squirrel skateboarding or something. Who cares, right? This I can actually, you know, go in, play a game, feel like I've done something interesting with my journey, you know, and especially like when you can play with friends, or a lot of games where you can kind of link to your friends online and have like stats and stuff like that. And you know, everyone's a little bit competitive. Let's be honest. There's some certain friends that are. I'd like to beat their top scores on certain things as well.
Aren't you worried, though, about the addictive nature of these games and that people, particularly young people, get to the stage where they simply can't think to do anything else? They wouldn't pick up a book, they'd think to go to the game first.
I think the thing is with addiction and stuff like that, games are inherently designed to be fun. Like the feedback that you get, you know, you do X, you get Y. It's very, very simplistic. I think, you know, in life, you spend a lot of time trying to get Y and you do a lot of X and it never really happens. Whereas games are very, very simple, and that kind of simplicity is what is attractive. It's alluring. You know, you do this and you get that and you win and you succeed and you move on. And that's a nice feeling. I don't think it's particularly the games themselves that are addictive. I think it's when people naturally have like a predilection for a kind of addictive behaviour. Like I've suffered from depression my whole adult life. I know I have to be careful that when I play games, I don't go too far into playing games. I have to have balance. I have to go out. I have to see my friends like anything. you know, I think sitting around watching 6 or 5 hours of television a night is not particularly healthy. But it's you know, games are like this hot topic.
But why is there a gender split, per se, and the idea that, you know, home gamers and the sort of serious gamers are men? And it's not just the teenage boys, is it? I mean, it extends well into adulthood for men.
Yeah, well, it's 56% of the UK population games in some way. About half of that are women. It's well, a little bit less than half, but it is quite, you know, even in that sense.
So our perception is wrong.
Yeah, but I also think as well, if we're looking at it as casual gamers and not just female gamers that are kind of coming in on this kind of iOS thing, is it just because when initially games were marketed, they were marketed for boys? There was that kind of gender bias. So, you know, whereas like guys are like, no, it's cool, I like games because they've had it a long time and it's been marketed and sold to them. Whereas now women are like, oh, I'm not like a dork, I can play games and talk about games, because there is that kind of thing of like being a bit of a nerdy gamer, which is still there, you know, and if you have like a home console and stuff like that, there is still that little thing that people kind of think you're a bit sad, right?
Well, possibly, I couldn't possibly comment on that one.
You're not sad at all.
No, see, look, gamers are awesome.
Yeah, Julia, really good to see you. Thank you. And let us know what your gaming habits are this morning. At Sky Stephen, at Sky Julian, let us know how you get on. And indeed, this idea of addiction, which is causing some concern, is that a worry for you, perhaps if you're a parent, or perhaps you just think, well, it's part of life, and as Julia says, something to do on that commute to work? Get in touch this morning. We've got all the sport